Hello, everybody. Of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button. And as well, if you are on YouTube, please make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you can be, of course, subscribe to the X Talking Issue. And as well, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. And as well, if you are on Twitter, check us out on Periscope at X Talking Ish. And as well, go ahead and check us out on my personal page at X underscore Williams81. I went ahead and retweeted it right now. So you guys can check us out on Periscope. And as well, before we move forward with, of course, our topics for tonight, the recap of week 13 NFL season, we want to, of course, bring on our special guest and our guy, as always, Mr. Casey McKinney, joining us once again from just another football show. We appreciate him for being on once again, Casey.
Absolutely, love coming on, guys. Anytime you need me, I love getting that message from X in the afternoon. You free? You free? Of course I'm free. Of course I'm free. I'd love to come hang out. I love talking to you guys. It's a fun time every time.
Casey likes to give me a hard time because he feels as though that I'm doing this on purpose, bringing him on the show after the Chiefs.
no, you are doing that.
Did you fact check my last one? Was I on after we lost last time?
I haven't fact checked it yet, but I'm pretty sure that is
It's
something
just how
that
it
you should
feels.
probably go do right quick. But I promise you that that's not what I'm doing. Because if I was doing that, I would do it as in like maybe when the Chiefs play in Cincinnati for like those last 7 times, like I would do something like that. But that's not what I'm doing.
Hey now.
It just happens. It's
Hey
an
now.
occurrence.
Hey now.
That's funny.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But on a serious note, we appreciate Casey for being here once again. I promise to have him back on after a Chiefs win, and also when our boy Trenton Thompson as well. Hopefully, after Niners win, he can join us. Hopefully before the season.
Yeah, we gotta get him on to see what he thinks about that Jimmy G situation.
Yes, exactly. So we'll bring him in very shortly. But we'll talk about, of course, the elephant in the room. People that know this show, they know, of course, I am a Titans fan, and probably one of the biggest news of the NFL season. The Titans, for I wouldn't say not even the wrong reasons or the right reasons, but they let go their general manager after 7 years. A lot of people will say if it wasn't for this general manager, the Titans wouldn't even be where they're at right now at the moment. And I would be one of the first people to agree when it comes to John Robinson started. I feel as though he started this upward trend of how people view the Tennessee Titans now in 2022 than they had in 2015 when they started. I think we can all agree on that. But we can all agree on that the Titans are still who we thought they were. In the words of Dennis Green, when it comes to nobody fears the Titans. I was talking to my boys at work about this when it comes to the Tennessee Titans are always going to have a face or a figure. Of course, Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota, Chris Johnson, Vince Young. But it just seems as though that it's just still not good enough. It's good. It's going to make some highlights. It's going to, make some fans happy here and there, but it's still just not good enough. Me being a Tennessee Titans fan, I've been a fan of this organization since '97, since they were Houston Oilers. And one thing that I have a problem with more so of the fan base compared to just the organization itself, is that the fan base is more worried about having choir boys as their football players than quote unquote dogs. And I'm not talking about people that go out and go murder people on the off season or even during the season and go drink and drive and go hit people in the cars. I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about people who want that. I'm talking about, yes, unfortunately, there are some people that are out there, not just in the NFL, but MLB and NBA, that have some unfortunate past and do some things that we all will agree that shouldn't be done either in sports or either in a Fortune 500 company, education, no matter what type of work field. It shouldn't be taking place, right? But overall, when it comes to a sport that's as violent and brutal as this, sometimes you have to look at people that might not all be there in a very controlled type of way. And what I mean by that is getting guys that fit for your football culture and not trying to fit for what you think that is good for and cheap for this organization. So to fast forward to what I'm trying to get at and wrap up with this whole shebangity bang, and I'll let my guys talk about this as well. When I woke up this morning, I honestly didn't know what was going on because the first thing that I read was a tag post from my boy Dante out in Philadelphia, and he tags me. He says, AJ played the Titans one game, and the president was like, "Okay, John, we're gonna have to fire your ass now." I honestly didn't know what he was talking about. And then I look on my feed, and I see that apparently John Robertson has been let go of his duties as the general manager of the Tennessee Titans. And again, I was a little perplexed because I was kind of shaking my head and trying to figure out why is he being let go in the middle of the season. But I guess when you play against a guy that pretty much you traded for a team you traded for, and he pretty much does that to you right in front of your face, I guess that makes the owner of the Tennessee Titans feel some type of way and say, hey, let me go ahead and do what I got to do. Now, I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do at the time. I'm also not saying that he's the first person that should have left the building. Probably should have been offensive coordinator before the general manager, but that's another story for another day. I think that what Amy Strunk did as the Tennessee Titans owner is set the level, set the tone in that organization to let everybody know that, hey, nobody is safe and good isn't good enough. We have an opportunity to be like the Kansas City Chiefs, to be like the Buffalo Bills, and be contenders in the AFC. The only reason why I say that is because we saw a team last year like the Cincinnati Bengals be able to get it all together in just 1 year and make it to a Super Bowl. I think what happened with that last year made everybody in the NFL look at themselves and say, maybe it's not a 4 or 5 year plan anymore. Maybe it's a 2 or 3 year plan now, more than it used to be ever, because of how revolutionized the quarterback position is becoming, right? Everybody can't have a Joe Burrow. Everybody can have Patrick Mahomes. Everybody can't have a Josh Allen. Some people have to deal with a Ryan Tannehill. But if you do that, then it means you have to spread out the wealth and make sure you get some pieces in there to help out this player. And also, once you give a lot of money to this player, it kind of handcuffs you from being able to do what you need to do to help this player out. So it's a string of general managing falls that led to John Robertson being let go. And I'll announce them right quick. Some of the things that John Robertson failed to do, as in re-sign, and some people can say I would have let him go. Guys like Corey Davis, Jack Conklin, Juno Smith, Adoree Jackson, Roger Stafford, and a guy named AJ Brown. Never heard of him. If you ever heard of him, first round bust over the last 5 years. Rashaan Evans, Isaiah Wilson. I know you probably never heard of him because he played about 12 snaps in the NFL, and he was a first round draft pick, and he decided to want to have fun outside of the NFL instead of playing the NFL. Wasted a first round draft pick on an offensive lineman from Georgia. Also drafted a first round draft pick cornerback out of Virginia Tech who was injury prone in college, with Caleb Farley. Also overpaid for Julio Jones, Vic Beasley, Adam Humphries, Jadeveon Clowney, and also my favorite, Eric Decker. So not just that, also overpaid for Ryan Tannehill, and also did not make a move after Todd Downing had a DUI after a win for the Tennessee Titans. So I'm not saying it's John Robertson's job to fire people or fire Todd Downing after his incident, but with all of those things that have gone on and transpired within the Tennessee Titans organization, it just seems as though that maybe Amy Strunk just had enough and she needed to make a move. So I'm going to digress, and I want to hear from my friends here on the show. And Casey, I'll let you take it first because I feel like you have a lot to say, and you're more than welcome to take it.
Yeah, I think you gave both sides of that case really, really well, right? I'm not sure exactly how you feel after the way you argued both cases. So that's a good thing, right?
I'll let y'all talk, and then I'll wrap it up.
I will say that you point at these teams that if the short window, they hit on quarterback. You ain't doing it without hitting on quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, like those guys are guys that change a franchise's trajectory point blank period. Ryan Tannehill's not that guy. As far as getting rid of him, man, to me, I get like the AJ Brown situation, right? Like that's the one thing everyone points at when you read the comments, you look at everything, everyone goes, well, after the AJ Brown thing, and then he comes in and lights him up, you got to let him go. It's like, were you guys going to time travel and find a way to pay him? Because you weren't. Like, you guys done messed it up with the Tannehill thing. You kept messing with his contract and pushing it off to signing bonus and to sign Julio and to sign. Look at your cap this year. Look at your cap next year. He was going to test the market, so get what you can for him now. It's the same thing to an extent that the Chiefs did with Tyreek Hill. They knew they weren't going to be able to pay him and continue to build a roster. So they thought they had a good deal worked out. That can be debated now. I think you got a good player. We'll see how it pans out. The quarterback in your quarterback just isn't good. It's part of the problem. It just ain't working out. If you had a really good quarterback back there, maybe you would. But guess what? You guys are still top of the division. You're still going to host a playoff game. Like the most interesting part of this whole situation to me is timing. To do it now makes no sense to me. He ain't doing anything else this season that's going to hurt or help your team. Like, is this just a big FU and we're not giving you any credit for what we do from here on out? Like, that's the part of it I don't understand. Like, the pros, I think that the AJ Brown trade, as much as no Titans fan wants to hear it, no NFL fan wants to hear it, it was the move that they had to make. You got to get something for nothing. You just have to. You can't just let him walk. The problem is what he did with Tannehill. Like, that, I think, is the biggest mistake he made. And you listed a lot of other mistakes. That's absolutely a fair point. Look at the hit rate on the NFL draft for a lot of teams. It's not high. I get it.
It's not.
Certain teams draft well. A lot of teams don't. There are a handful of teams that draft really, really well. There are a lot of teams that just are not good at it. And you see a lot of these teams trading those picks for that reason. Let's go get a proven guy. It just didn't work out in this instance.
And just to piggyback off what you said, it's not even just the draft. It's what we don't do during the off season. Either stop getting older guys that are done, or also right before the trade deadline, and you do not go out and go make your team better. Like
you hit the nail on the head right there.
Like the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's part of the problem.
That's the problem that I have with our general manager in the last 7 years.
They're in that hole where they feel like they're competing now. And, I mean, you guys just played an AFC Championship game not that long ago. So you are competing now, right?
It was that long ago.
Sure, last year you were the 1 seed. I mean, that's because your division's trash. But you were a 1 seed nonetheless.
And we lost in the second round after the.
Yeah,
I mean,
tough.
it doesn't matter what seed you have if you're not winning any playoff games, right?
I ain't mad that they fired him. It's whatever. It's normal NFL. I don't think this is a big story, but it is because you're a Titans fan.
No, I just think we're all perplexed right now because we're all saying, we don't know why it happened in the middle of the season. That
don't make no
hurt
sense
you.
I'm with you there.
Because
we know why it happened.
Because he's going to win another division title, most likely. He's going to win the AFC South, right? Add to John Robinson's resume. And let's just say, because this is what the Titans do. Anytime you count the Titans out, they find a way to win games, and they find a way maybe to make it to the AFC Championship game. So if you do decide to let him go after the AFC Championship game, it makes it look even worse because you're like, why are you letting go of a guy that in the last 7 years you went to a conference championship game twice? Some teams, some organizations dream of that, right? So I completely understand where everybody is coming from. Ish, let you finish this up.
No. I don't understand the confusion. I don't think it was at weird time, unexpected time. It came at the right time. It came at the time it was supposed to happen. Right after they went out there, they got their butts kicked by the guy that they traded away for what now looks like peanuts. And I mean, honestly speaking, it's something similar that probably should have happened in Houston when they gave away DeAndre Hopkins for peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
We probably should have saw something like this happen in that situation, but because of the delusional ownership, you're not going to see that, right? But this is the example of an owner who actually has aspirations to compete.
See, I'm gonna say it like this. I love you for saying that. Thank you.
And I'm gonna say it like this: any owner can sit there and accept being the toast of the AFC South and continue to lay it on terrible organizations year in and year out without having to really build.
Hallelujah.
And just go out there, make a couple of moves, and continue to maintain the status quo, right? And that's a safe bet. And I think that's where people are kind of looking at it and scratching their head because they're like, wait, we've seen in the NFL that there is no such thing as a safe bet when it comes to a team that doesn't have a franchise quarterback. But Tennessee has been that team that I would say for the past couple of years have been able to make it work with a quarterback that's not necessarily a franchise guy. I think he's a little bit over the game managers. I think he's a little bit better than a game manager.
Good.
He's a game manager, but for me, he's a step above it. And I just think this ownership group just decided after, and I think the last straw was the game against Philly. That was the last straw, okay? To see that happen, and that's a young piece. I get what Casey's saying. There's no way they were going to be able to pay him anyway. The cap situation is terrible. That's another part of like, hey, if you're doing your job, you would have had a better handle on the cap situation. You would have handled the Ryan Tannehill situation better. All these things, right? But at the end of the day, for me, what it came down to is I applauded it because I was like, hey, I mean, I cannot speak highly enough of an ownership group that's willing to say, you know what, it's not good enough. I know we're going to win the AFC South. I know we can compete. We can get in the playoffs every year. It's not good enough.
Can I say this?
And I respect that.
Yes, besides paying Ryan Tannehill, another thing that he did was he paid Tannehill before he paid Derrick Henry. That's another issue that we all have a problem with. You want to know another thing I'll add on to this too? What quarterback did he just draft last year that's probably not going to be seeing the field? Even when he does see the field, it's just probably not going to be good. Malik Willis, okay?
Why did you wait this long to fire him then? That don't make any sense. If he did that terrible of a job, why not fire him earlier? Why do you have to wait for this game?
Because it was the embarrassment of the A.J. Brown situation.
I don't think it was that. I don't think it was just that. I think it's something probably internal that we don't know about. That maybe you've been brewing for a little bit. I don't know.
I think they're still friendly, and he's letting him get the jump start on getting a new job.
Or that.
Let him go. Let him go get the jump start on a new job. Respect him at least a little bit.
There are things internally that we just do not know about. We probably might not ever will. Yeah, and that's just up to speculation of us, and that's just something that we will have to just talk about another time. But just to wrap all of this up, I will answer Casey's question. I was sad at first. I was calm afterwards, and honestly, I am excited for the future because of we have to find a way to get better. And I'm looking at I'm going to use two examples before we move on. You look at a team like the 49ers, right? They have a stout defense. They rely on their defense, and they have a pretty damn good weapons on the outside. They have an okay game managing quarterback, and they're able to do that because they were able to financially make it work with the quarterback and, of course, all the other position players, right? Then you have another example over on the East Coast with the Philadelphia Eagles, where you have a GM who has missed on draft picks time and time again, but will find ways in a year like this year to find a way to say, fuck the cap. We're going all in. We're going to find a way to win it, because that's another thing about the NFL. There are no guarantees when it comes to how good you're going to be this year, next year, or 5 years from now. So if you have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl this year, you take it. And I'm not trying. Go, Casey, go.
That's what they did with Julio Jones. I understand that in the rear view it looks terrible.
Nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted that to happen in the first place.
That was the mentality: was fuck the cap, we're going for a title. We're going to get a piece that we need. It's going to open up A.J. Brown.
A guy that hadn't played.
I'm not saying it was a great decision,
forever,
but that was the mentality there. And all it did was hamstring your team down the road. A team like the 49ers isn't doing that. They're building through the draft. They're getting young players. They're paying proven players and only paying the proven players. Okay. That's what they're doing. That's how you do it. The Titans haven't done that, but
I think that's one.
I don't know what players they have are proven. Like, who are you going to pay other than Derrick Henry, which you probably shouldn't, because eventually
you're not paying anybody. And I'm not paying Derrick Henry at this point.
I ain't either. Right now, he's the exception that proves the rule, but he won't be for long.
He's fine. Kevin Byard, he's got his contract. The guys that show up, the next big contract is Jeff Simmons.
Well,
that's the next big contract. Other than that, I mean,
2 years out, you guys can do a lot, but the next 2 years, once you get rid of Tannehill, you open up a little bit next year, but
yeah, and then we'll
figure
it out from there. It's going to be an open court.
You got to find that quarterback, man.
It's going to be open competition all throughout the offense, even on some spots on the defense. It's going to be, again, Vrabel will have more of a voice as well too. I'm excited because, again, I think Vrabel knows what the hell he's doing compared to John Robertson. And if Vrabel has an opportunity to transform this team the way he wants it to be, I'm okay.
The biggest problem they're going to run into is that they are too good of a team to draft a good quarterback. You're just at that level where you're still going to be a playoff team. You're beating up on your terrible division. You're going to pick in the high teens, and the quarterbacks are gone.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But you can always find a quarterback late in the draft pick. Drake.
I don't know about always, but sometimes.
You never know. All right. Speaking of quarterback that got picked number 1 in his draft class, Mr. Baker Mayfield finds his way on his 3rd NFL team, and how quickly it has turned from Baker Mayfield being the franchise guy to being now just one of the guys. Baker gets picked up off of waivers after being released by the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people at first was kind of projecting him to maybe go to the 49ers due to, of course, the injuries sustaining over there. But it seems as though the LA Rams wanted to give him a shot and an opportunity. And, I mean, the offensive scheme kind of suits him. I mean, gives him an opportunity to go back to college and sling it there and whatnot. But let's be honest. This is more for just putting butts in the seats because the Rams aren't going anywhere and Baker Mayfield isn't going anywhere. He needs to figure out if he's going to be a starting quarterback next year because he's about to be looking like a backup quarterback real soon. Casey?
This move is solely so that they can pick up a compensatory pick. When he leaves and maybe signs somewhere else as a backup quarterback, they'll get 4th, 5th round pick. If you remember, the Rams traded all of their picks. Like, this team's not good, and they have no picks. Look for this team to trade a Jalen Ramsey, trade an Aaron Donald if he still plays. This team's going to go into a full rebuild mode. I don't buy anything that's happening here. I think this is all cat maneuvering and trying to pick up picks. We saw Baker Mayfield play with an offense that had no pieces, and he just went to a situation that has less pieces. So I don't know why anyone is excited about Baker Mayfield with the Rams at all. And maybe when they're healthy and have pieces, he could do something. And there's a world that Stafford never takes another snap in the NFL. I could absolutely believe that, and they need a quarterback. But this team is just devoid of any offensive talent, really. I mean, they're back to Cam Akers now. Like, what are we doing? I don't understand this Rams team or the mentality or anything that's going on here. They're just bad. Yeah, maybe butts and seats, sure, but ultimately I think they're just after that compensatory pick, and they've got a little bit of money to pay out the rest of his contract, and they can make that work. That's
Baker going to feel right at home. The Rams are the West Coast version of the Panthers.
You ain't wrong.
All right. Before we move on to Ishdo KC, I know we had one of our guests asked last week, will this be Aaron Donald's last year playing football?
It very well could be. I think he considered retirement last year. If he's not ready to go into a full rebuild, I think he's done everything he needs to do in this league. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. But like I said, there's a world that the Rams are trying to recoup those picks, and they can send him to a decent situation where maybe he can go win another title and play on a good defense. So I wouldn't count it out, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he calls it done. We're going to see more and more of this as seasons go on, where guys don't necessarily still have it in the tank, but aren't going to keep playing. I can see it. So you could sell me on either, but I think if he does play next year, it's not for this team.
Ish.
I'm gonna use this topic real quick because it's really a non-topic. Nobody cares about this team or this move. But I'm gonna use this topic to poke fun at an organization that we always poke fun at. To just talk about how bad this organization is at making decisions. Because why didn't the Houston Texans pick up Baker Mayfield?
I knew you were gonna say he was Texans.
No.
Why would they?
Oh, listen. This is why you would pick up Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield was at one point a highly touted
quarterback out of Texas.
Draft, quarterback out of no. But listen to me.
Kyler Murray gonna be the Texans quarterback in 3 years.
I am not preaching that Baker Mayfield is a franchise quarterback. But what I am saying is, when you are the Houston Texans and you need as many pieces as they need to be competitive, and I do not see a quarterback in this upcoming draft that I think is worth any of their top 10 picks.
You're just wrong about that. So.
I would love to.
That's where we're at. There are plenty of quarterbacks that they should take. There are plenty of quarterbacks in this draft class that are better than Baker Mayfield.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not that I'm going to take in the top 10.
I'll go with 2. That's it.
Not that I'm taking in the top 10. I'd rather ride a couple more years and lose with Baker Mayfield and continue to accumulate draft picks than to use one of my top 10 picks on some quarterback that we're not going to put in the right system and he's going to be out of here faster than Baker Mayfield fell off in Cleveland.
The only 2 guys that I would say out of college that I would say would be Caleb Williams and I forgot his name. Not Max.
Is Caleb Williams?
Oh, Will Levis. Will Levis out of Kentucky.
Is Caleb Williams declaring?
It doesn't matter if he is or not. That's what I'm taking over Baker. If he was coming out of draft, who I would take. I think he has one more year. I still think he has one more year.
Yeah, which is why, again, I say I would have picked up Baker and just rode a year with him. The Texans aren't going to win. The thing is, dude,
you're not winning with who you have now either.
Any quarterback you draft and bring into Houston, you're setting them up to fail.
I mean, they've been doing that.
You're bringing them into an organization that they're going to fail. Why not bring a guy like Baker in that can just be – you're not expecting much from him, right? Like,
you're not expecting anything from Davis Mills either. Why not just keep rolling with him?
No. Because he's
the goal is to lose. Baker might fuck up and win a game or 2.
Well, there you go.
You don't want that to happen. You want to lose games.
Yeah, no, they want to win. They want to win. Texas fans thought they were going to win the AFC South at the beginning of the season.
Well, they was on something.
They down here in Houston talking about how they going to win the South next season.
There are going to be plenty of other quarterbacks available in the offseason that if you want to maybe like rile up your fan base but still lose games, they'll still be able to do that.
Hey, but you could have got a compensatory pick. You could have used the Rams strategy. You could have got a compensatory pick for it.
You know.
There are so many reasons why I thought that it made sense for the Texans, but obviously the Texans are going to be the Texans. And so Baker went to LA where nobody cares. I don't even know why this became a headline. They shouldn't have covered it at all.
It became a headline because we know why.
Well, it's a headline because everyone just talked themselves in the fact that the Niners were going to claim him, and there was never a world they were going to.
Yeah, never going to happen. I didn't hold out one bit for that to happen, and I didn't want it to happen.
The reason why the headline is the same reason why is the same reason why the next guy we're about to talk about is a headline, no matter if he's playing or not playing, is because OBJ, who hasn't played since last year's Super Bowl. Everybody keep asking him and keep trying to figure out where will OBJ land. So let's keep this very short and sweet. We'll move on to the last topic before we get into the games. Ish, I'll start off with you. OBJ was spotted in Dallas last night at the Mavs game, of course, with his boy Diggs and Micah Parsons. They keep asking him, will he land in Dallas? He keeps flirting with everybody and saying he doesn't know yet. So, Ish, where will OBJ land?
I think he's landing in Dallas, and I want him to land in Dallas, and then I want it to be a disaster because that's just what Dallas does, right? The fans gonna get hyped; they're gonna think it's a Super Bowl, and then he's not gonna play this season. So go ahead, let him land in Dallas, and let him not. And let's just find out, a week later he's not gonna play this entire season, so we can all just go back to forgetting that OBJ was on the Cowboys anyway.
Casey,
I couldn't believe when he said he was going to be ready to play in early December. Like, I know medicine's come a long way, but man, I couldn't buy it. And then for Jerry to come out this week and say, well, we don't think he's actually going to be ready. I think Jerry understands his team's gelling really well right now, and throwing in a wild card piece like Odell is not great. Let's just keep rolling because we're rolling. So ultimately, I don't know if he lands anywhere this year. I don't know if any team's going to take that risk. He met with Buffalo. The only team we, I guess, know he took a physical for is Dallas, and that's why they have their questions. Mm-hmm. I think if he took a physical anywhere else, he'd be pointing at it pretty hard and saying this team said it was fine. It's still early in this, but I think ultimately he's not going to end up, especially in the regular season, playing for anybody. But I do think it's Dallas.
Jerry
I think it's next
get
year.
Him.
I think so, but I don't think he plays a snap this year. I really just don't. Because I don't know. He's chasing a ring or helping a team to win a championship. There are maybe 4 or 5 teams or whatever. You start taking out teams. Like, I don't know that Buffalo needs him. I really don't. I don't think they do. I don't know that Dallas needs him. I mean, Green Bay was super interesting, but they just are too far back to get it done.
Yep.
Like, who else needs a wide receiver that's in the Super Bowl hunt? I don't know that there's anybody. So maybe he just sort of buys his time and. Yeah. I mean, it is a team. They do check those boxes, but I don't think so.
No, they don't. We're not expensive enough for him. We're too cheap for him.
Let's do it cheap.
My thing with OBJ is, and not just OBJ, I'm talking about people that are casual football fans or people that don't watch football at all. Why do we keep on thinking that OBJ is 23 years old? I don't understand why we keep thinking that this guy is going to come in and make an immediate impact as a number 1 wide receiver or even a number 2 wide receiver coming off of an ACL injury, his second one of his career. Why do we keep on entertaining this? I am not an OBJ hater. Anytime you talk anything about OBJ, Lamar Jackson, LeBron James, there's just certain people you just can't say anything about because here comes the gang for them to jump on you on Twitter or anything like that. How dare you talk down on Lamar Jackson? He's God's greatest creation of football, right?
Yeah,
that's how I feel about OBJ. You can't say anything about this man, but his record for himself, besides playing with Baker Mayfield and the Browns, that was just a bad situation. And I understand that probably was pulled him down. And he had a decent career. I can't say it was a hell of a career. I'm sorry, hell of a season with the Rams because it was okay, especially by OBJ standards.
It was a pretty good career with the Rams.
It was okay. It was okay. It was okay a year.
If I could get OBJ Rams production on my Chiefs, I'd take it, but you won't. So you won't. Like, coming off that Achilles, I just don't trust it. You don't want the guy the year after the Achilles. You want the guy the year after the year after the Achilles.
Yes.
That's what you want.
Yes. And then
I don't want anything to do with or the ACL or whatever, all those things.
Another major injury in the Super Bowl at his age. I'm sorry, but this is football. This is not basketball or even baseball. And then it'd be different if you was a quarterback or maybe even an offensive lineman. But his position and what he needs to do on the football field, I just don't think that he is going to be able this season, at least this season. He's not going to be able to come into any team, because Dallas can hide him. Kansas City can hide him. Buffalo can.
That's what he needs.
They can be the third wide receiver to where he doesn't need to come out there and put up 150 yards and be Justin Jefferson. He could be the number 3 wide receiver for a team, but it's not going to be this year. Maybe next year, but we have to be serious. I mean, we have to be more realistic when it comes to OBJ and how we view him now. That's all I'm saying with that one. And I think he could land in Green Bay next year. I think they revisit that.
Depends on their quarterback situation.
If Aaron Rodgers stays,
Yeah,
I've heard good things about him and his relationship with Watson now.
You'd have to be the one there, though, I think.
And maybe you add OBJ, maybe you add some more pieces, and maybe Green Bay try to make a run at it next season. But OBJ this season, no, we're not entertaining that. We're not.
No, I think he lands on one of those teams that he can be a 2 or a 3. He's not going to end up
a guy that has an opportunity to actually still play this season, even though he got injured this year, Mr. Jimmy G. He's out once again with another injury, but like the Iron Man that he is, like the bad, as they say, Himmy G, as they say out there, Himmy G. That's the new nickname for that boy Jimmy. He out there balling, and unfortunately, he definitely balled that ankle up, and he'll be out for another 7 to 8 weeks, which means his regular season is over with. But his postseason availability still might be open. I'm going to throw this to my boy KC because at the moment, Mr. Irrelevant is now starting for the 49ers. Of course, that's Mr. Brock Purdy out of Iowa State. He had a pretty decent career in college. I think he did well at Iowa State. I remember watching him and playing in big games, upsetting some teams that he shouldn't have. That Iowa State team should not have won. Beaten against some of these teams that they play against. But for the most part, could he be a solid piece to just steady the ship until they get into the playoffs and maybe win a playoff game just due to how good this defense is? I'll throw to you, KC.
I think so. I mean, we're going to see, how many times have we seen a backup quarterback come into a game, they get the easiest game plan in the world, don't mess up, especially on a team like this where the defense is very, very good. So he's going to have to do more over the next few weeks. He looked very good this week coming in relief. But I've given a few Niners fans that I know a hard time and just said, hey, this is like the Trent Dilfer thing, right? Like the defense is very good. Put him out there as long as he doesn't mess up. And this offense is built for him to not mess up, right? They've got great offensive pieces. They got CMC. He's going to put in work. Devo, Kittle, like these are all very, very good pieces. So I could see him being, a replacement level quarterback, which guess what is exactly what Jimmy G is. Like when you hear, the wins against replacement baseball, I'm a big baseball guy. That replacement is Jimmy G. It's Brock Purdy. They're not world beaters, but they can come in here and take care of the game. Alex Smith, same type of guy. This is the Niners thing. This is what they do. They build in the pieces that they need to and get a quarterback that doesn't mess up. We talked about this just earlier with your Titans, right?
Exactly.
But I mean, the Niners are probably like basically locked into the 3 seed. I don't think they catch the Vikings. They're 2 games behind them, 5 to play. Vikings have a pretty easy schedule. Niners have a pretty easy schedule. The Bucs probably ain't catching the Niners, right? Unless you think they're going to catch fire. So they get in and they play like a Giants or a Washington. Yeah, sure, they can beat them. And then is Jimmy ready? Or is it a potential NFC championship game that he would be ready, which is where I lean to with a foot injury. I don't know. At that point, are you replacing a guy that's got you to this point? Like got you through 2 playoff games? And I just don't think so. Like, I don't know. We went from early Sunday morning, there being talks of the Niners being willing to extend Jimmy G and like work this all out because he's winning games with them. It's been a wild ride for Niners fans over the past, few days, but I think that they're probably just fine. I don't think it's any different. I don't think anything's changed for them from Sunday morning to where we sit now. That's where I sit with the 49ers. Are they going to win the NFC? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think their offensive production can quite get it done, but that defense sure can. So maybe, I guess. I don't know. But I don't think the quarterback's going to be the problem. I really don't.
Yes.
They may get down and dirty, but they're still Purdy.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no.
There we go with this.
I have enjoyed the chaos that has been created by Brock Purdy coming in because let's just say, like Casey said it best, they're not a team that's built on the quarterback being a superstar. They're a team built on solid quarterback play can get us a long way. Okay. And I think Brock Purdy comes in, does solid enough to carry them forward because that defense, we all know what that defense is capable of. And if this happens, which I hope it does, let the chaos begin. Because I have been calling for Trey Lance not to be the guy for the whole year now. I don't even know how long I've been calling for it. Jimmy G, get up out of here. Brock Purdy has taken the seat. And just like in New England, I'm rooting for Brock Purdy.
No, you sip it on the 1 week play juice. That's what you're doing right now. Because if after he gonna be like Jeff Saturday, oh yeah, you win your debut. Then after that, you're gonna go 0-3 and look and shit gonna get real, huh?
But I don't know, man. Check their schedule.
No, I ain't talking about Brock Purdy. No. Brock Purdy's fine.
I know.
He's covered by people that actually play, good football.
Jeff Saturday, he's got the right coach in there too.
He's doomed. But I'm making the joke that stop trying to compare those guys.
No, man.
Well, that's the solution, right? Like the Niners, Brock Purdy rolls, they're okay, they're gonna roll with him. The next year, Titans can trade for Trey Lance. Be sold, done, problem over.
There you go, bam.
I think Trey Lance is a starter in this league. I really do, but
that's
a conversation for a different day.
Malik Willis.
You know who's a starter in this league?
I'll take
Brock Purdy.
Denial. Zappy.
I'll just say this, and again,
I don't disagree with that either.
To wrap all this up in one bit before we move on to the games, like I talked about the Titans and to wrap it up, the 49ers. The 49ers, like we talked about, have been able to do this for 10 plus years now. They've been able to make multiple Super Bowls, multiple conference championship games with having either good, average, or above average quarterback play. Why that cannot be duplicated by other teams. That's all I'm stating when it comes to what the Titans have put themselves in. And again, we'll move on from there. But anywho, let's go ahead and get into some of these games. I'll start off with this Jets and Vikings game. Not a sexy game to talk about really, but going into the game. But I told people in the pre-show that, watch out for this game. Obviously, the Vikings won this game, but it definitely was not one of those easy games at all for the Vikings to win. Of course, everybody looked at that matchup on the outside with Justin Jefferson and Sauce Gardner, which I feel like lived up to the hype. The Vikings come out victorious once again. KC, after a win like this, because some people feel as though the Jets are as good as their record is, are we starting to put a little bit more respect on the Vikings' name after that thrashing by the Cowboys?
No, I went into this season. I picked the Vikings as the 2 seed, which we're heading towards. I was big on the Vikings. Mm-hmm. I think that the reasons and what I had them doing, they're not necessarily doing. This Vikings team, I think, is very fraudulent. I think you could see them play like Seattle in a wild card round and lose at home for sure. Ooh. As a 2 seed. Yeah. But if you watch this game, which I watched because I had the Jets on the money line. I never really gave up. The Jets just could not get out of the red zone. They would get down there and they settled for field goals. And when you're trading field goals for touchdowns, you probably ain't gonna win the game. They gave it a good try. This Jets team is for real, especially when they get some pieces back and they get some more pieces. It's not right now. They'll probably be a playoff team this year, maybe be a playoff team this year. I don't know if they're going to give anyone a run in the playoffs, but watch out for this team down the line because they drafted really well this year. They've shown that they can do it. This Jets team will be a contender in future seasons, and we're just sort of seeing the start of it for this Jets team. But I don't know. I ain't buying the Vikings. I ain't doing it yet. I think that their schedule's pretty light. I think that I could see them losing early in the playoffs. They could be the first 2 seed that loses to the 7. I mean, we're only a few years into that, but I don't know. They keep winning these. They're doing exactly the opposite of what they did last year. They're not turning the ball over. They are winning 1-score games. we'll see if they can keep doing it.
Will Mike White be the Jets' Week 1 starter next season?
Nah, I don't think so. I think they'll find somebody.
Okay.
I don't know. A couple weeks ago, I said Derek Carr, but the Raiders have sort of turned it around. So maybe
they're doing exactly what they did last year, right?
You're not wrong, but I think they're doing enough that the Raiders aren't going to look at moving on from him. But there are other guys. Jimmy Garoppolo could start for this team next year and manage the ball and be fine. That's what this team needs. They're building that defense that's going to play well. Breece Hall's going to be able to run the ball. Garrett's going to be out there catch. They need someone that's not going to mess up. There are options if they can't draft a guy. Zach Wilson's done with this team. I think they'll find some. I don't know who it is for sure, but I don't think he's the starter for this team next year if they're going to play and seriously try to win games.
Ish.
I know you're gonna keep trying to make this Vikings thing a real discussion. It's not a discussion.
Why are you mad at me?
Nobody cares about that nonsense. Okay, get up out of here. Secondly, I like Matt White as the starter for the Jets next year. I think that internally though they got to figure out that Zach Wilson situation. They haven't been. They need to put it to bed. I just think somebody need to come out and they need to put that one to bed. Like if we're moving on from him, he's that detrimental to the team and that chemistry, which it appears he is because this team seems to play for Matt White better than they play for him. Then y'all need to come out, just say, you know what, we've decided we're gonna move on from Zach Wilson and let's just dead it because it's going to continue to linger. And this team is, like Casey said, they're the real deal. They are not necessarily rebuilding like we thought they were going to be rebuilding. They are actually a team that's right there on the cusp. So,
all right, let's go ahead and move on to a game that we're not going to talk about too long because it's ugly. Ugly all around from first quarter to the end of the game. Again, I'm not really wanting to talk about this game because of the game, mainly because of the injury to Lamar Jackson. I'm reading this again. Looks like he injured his PCL and could be out for a week to 3 weeks. This is just another added chapter to this season that Ish and I have talked about when it comes to Lamar Jackson and his contract situation. Like I said earlier, anytime you talk about Lamar, people get upset with you, but this is just the nature of the beast. When I've stated since he played at Louisville, the style of play is not going to be beneficial for you as a quarterback because you just sustained too many hits. This was not a hit that he sustained outside of the pocket or while running or anything like that. He was actually inside of the pocket, and he just got landed on a certain way that injured his PCL. But it just adds to the fact that you get hit too many times. Just like I state with Josh Allen. Anybody that goes out there and puts their body out for unnecessary reasons. We saw Patrick Mahomes do it because it was a fourth down play and he needed to score the touchdown those are obviously necessary reasons, even though Chiefs fans probably don't want him to be doing that because he has gotten hurt on those plays in the past. But Josh Allen just likes going hurdling people because I think he just want to go run the 110 sprint for whatever reason. 110 hurdles, I just want to hurdle everybody for every week. For Lamar Jackson, the style of play that he plays with, it's unfortunate because it's going to allow teams to say, this is why I can't pay you. And I hope that's not the case for him in either with Baltimore or whatever team. And they say, hey, Lamar, we can't pay you because such and such. And he's going to get his money. I think KC, so we talked about this, I think 6-7 weeks ago when he was on the show the first time. Lamar's going to get his bag. We just don't know where, right? But you can't continue to keep sustaining lower body injuries because we all know that you cannot throw like Russ, or not Russ. I ain't going to use Russell no more. I can't use Russ no more. I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen, guys that are mobile and still can throw, you cannot do those things. So, Ish, I'll start off with you. the Lamar Jackson situation. How do you feel about it? What happens after this injury, and what's going to happen moving forward with the Ravens and the rest of the season, and so on?
Yeah, this is probably the worst thing that could happen to him this season, other than like a truly long-term injury, because it's yet more ammunition for the organization or any organization to point to, listen, the way you play is just not, it's not a good investment. It's not a good investment necessarily with at the money you're asking for. That's not to say you're not a franchise quarterback and the organization may regard you as a franchise quarterback, but at the money that you're requesting or the guaranteed money that you're requesting, yeah, it's just not feasible, right? Like that, I think, is the problem. Then when you couple that with, you know, some of the missed throws in very crucial drives throughout the season, I just think that this is yet another box that they're going to tick off at the end of the season to say, you know what, Lamar, again, we're going to offer you like a franchise quarterback, but we're not going to give you that much guaranteed because the liability's too high. So it's really unfortunate. I'll be interested to see where they kind of go from here, and if the Ravens can continue to hold on to what they have right now, because I mean, again, they're still tied with Cincinnati, so it's not even a good situation for them as far as winning the division right now. So I don't know how much of this really we're going to look back and we're going to say, yeah, you probably should have got that deal wrapped up before the season.
Yeah, Casey.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. If you'd have looked at it even last week, like just Ravens, Bengals, very close in the standings. Look at the schedules remaining. Everyone went, well, the Ravens got just an easy path. Well, now maybe they don't. But so that in itself is a good reason to maybe not offer him the world, right? But I've been asking this question since, like week 6 when he fell out of the MVP race. Like, is Lamar hurting this contract situation? Like, should he have sat this out and said, no, you're going to pay me because I ain't going out there and getting hurt, because he's going to go out there and get hurt.
Yep.
The flip side to this that I've argued all season long, and X, you said it, you start talking a little bad about Lamar and people get big mad, or Ravens fans get big mad, is y'all ain't never going to get like a number 1 free agent wide receiver. It's never happening. No one's coming to play with Lamar. It's just not a thing that's happening. They have to successfully draft from within and get these guys. And yeah, it turns out they had a pretty good wide receiver in Hollywood Brown. They didn't get it. They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't make it work. So what makes you think if they were to draft an AJ Brown, they'd figure it out? Can't promise you that they would. This team's identity is similar to what the Niners are doing now. And it is the mentality that they're not straying away from. They want to put all of their money into their defense and have an offense that gets by. And neither of those things are working right now. So ultimately, it's probably going to be a fail. I could see this team missing the playoffs completely. But I could also see a world that, a replacement level quarterback comes in and does well, and that's not good for Lamar either.
Not at all. Yeah.
If they win the next couple games and don't need
which
him,
they definitely can.
What's that? The statement,
Tyler,
I don't know, man. I agree. I think I said last year they should have kept it, considered keeping him around and sort of playing a little chicken with Lamar. You want to sit out? We'll see what happens.
So
I know the fan base would hate it, but
I want to definitely follow up on what you're saying there, because we talked about it, I think it was last week, about one of the biggest risks that you have as the Ravens of deciding at this point, yeah, we're going to move on from Lamar, is, like you said, their identity that they haven't strayed away from on the offensive side specifically has been all about Lamar and building that team to be a running team with packages for the quarterback to run, throwing the ball to the tight end because they can't figure out how to get the ball to wide receivers. If you move on from Lamar right now, that's a drastic change in the organization. Now, the one thing, like you just pointed out, that I actually was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's not that drastic. Huntley can run the ball and he can throw. That he can make that an easy transition.
Some might say better than Lamar.
Their running back situation, specifically this year, they've had really terrible luck with it, right? With the J.K. Dobbins thing, and when they were on top of their game and running, they had Mark Ingram back there running the ball, trucking guys. The team was all on the same page and loved each other, and it's great. But man, if Lamar wants that Deshaun Watson type deal, I hope you can sell a lot of jerseys because you ain't winning any Super Bowl rings. Like that's just really what it boils down to. He's a great player. He's a great guy. I love his attitude. I love the way he plays football. It's super fun. He's not as extreme as a Josh Allen X. I know you pointed that out. I swear to God, I don't understand the Josh Allen taking the hits that he takes in the fourth quarter when they're up 2 scores. It does not make any sense to me. I don't know if you saw J.J. Watt's tweet this week where he said something about the quarterback sneak being the most dangerous thing when you need a yard. Patrick Mahomes was like, yeah, but watch your kneecaps because that's a problem. And I just was like, yeah, no, I don't want to see the Chiefs will never run a quarterback snap with Patrick Mahomes ever again. I promise. It's never happening.
I do remember the one thing you can remember how that kneecap was hanging off like that for me.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting offseason for Lamar. I think this team, if I had to guess, they figure it out and they come to a deal that is just not as high as maybe it could have been in this offseason if Lamar would have just agreed to it. A lot of people will tell you, well, look at Dak. He got hurt. He got his deal done. Dak can throw down the field, though, is my go-to. Like, he can hit wide receivers. I don't think Lamar can.
At the end of the day, Lamar is who everybody claims that he is. He's the Michael Vick of our generation, right? Or I should say the young kids' generation. He is.
Justin Fields that guy now. But.
Michael Vick was great. He was electric, but didn't win a Super Bowl. Didn't, unfortunately, career got derailed short, obviously due to dogfighting. I'm not saying Lamar is going to happen to him. I'm just saying that Lamar is exciting, and he's a guy that's generational towards especially the younger generation that people want to be like. I see kids around Houston all the time, black, white, Hispanic, wearing Lamar Jackson jerseys, right? He is a guy that can sell jerseys, but are you a guy that can lead your team to a Super Bowl by playing the quarterback position? That's the question that remains.
Hasn't yet. We'll see.
All right, let's move on to the Dolphins and the 49ers. Of course, we talked about this on Sunday, mentor versus teacher. Looks like, or I should say, I'm sorry, student versus teacher. My apologies, wrong analogies. Looks like the teacher got the student once again, and Kyle Shanahan got the best of Mike McDaniels. Of course, the biggest news that came out of this game, like we talked about, Jimmy G was out, got hurt, and was out the remaining of this game. But the 49ers still took care of business without Jimmy G and against a really good opponent with the Miami Dolphins. A lot of people feel as though the Dolphins are neck and neck with the Bills and maybe can still win that division still. But the 49ers are doing what the 49ers doing what Ish have talked about for the last 2 years now, and that's getting ready for their late season run to the Super Bowl and maybe make a Super Bowl run with the team that they have. So we talked about the 49ers already. We don't need to double back on them. Let's talk about this Miami Dolphins team right quick. Does this loss hurt them moving forward the rest of the season, psyche-wise, or does this help them to readjust some things and continue to finish out this season strong? Casey?
It's gut check time, right? Like this team, this is a big loss. Like getting punched like this, I had faith that the Dolphins might be able to come out and win this team. It's been a roller coaster ride for me with this team. I was totally not on the bandwagon at all. Sort of been on it a little bit. Really jumped on this week. Thought they were going to come out and be able to beat this Niners team. This good defense, but man, there's just so many pieces on this Dolphins offense, and we see how it went. I don't know. And the Dolphins don't exactly got an easy stretch coming down the rest of the way either, is the thing to me. They're right now neck and neck right there in the division. They're game back with the Dolphins or the Bills. The Bills right now leading that division, got the 1 seed. But I mean, you could tell me that they don't win. I mean, Chargers, Bills, Packers, Patriots, Jets. I don't think the Patriots are a good team, but I think the rest of those are all at least decent games for them. So we'll see. Like I said, it's gut check time. Like, this team just got smacked in the mouth. Everyone's got a plan until you get smacked in the mouth. What are you going to do? We're about to find out. And, the matchup with the Chargers this week that they flexed into Sunday Night Football is a pretty good stage for them to go out and show that maybe it was just a fluke. I don't know if it is. I think this team can't say they're rebuilding because they got a lot of money out there right now. It's going to be really hard to do a lot going forward, but it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from this real just slap that the Niners gave them, because it wasn't even close. Yeah, they really just they weren't nice to them. That wasn't close.
Ish.
Yeah, I don't think this is the game that really mentally kind of affects them, right? Like Casey said, it's gut check time, right? Like, this can't be the game that is the game that throws you off, because you got the Chargers on the road. The Bills on the road, for me, is the game where if they go into Buffalo and they get smacked, right?
And that's the game that keeps smacking them all the time, apparently.
And I feel like everything they've done to this point, it's not a waste, but it hurts mentally to get to that point where here we are competing for the division, and we just have to go out and take care of business, and we go and play our old foe, and they come out and just smack us, right? And now it's like, you go into the playoffs, and how do you bounce back going into the playoffs after that? Because it doesn't get easier, right? And even after the Bills game, you still got to beat the Packers. You got to beat the Patriots on the road, which we all know how that has been going. And then you got the Jets. So they aren't going to be mentally affected by this game with San Francisco. They've got 3 divisional games coming up that they need to go out there and take care of business. And if any of those 3 divisional games they lose in a lopsided fashion, I think that's the game we're going to look at, and we're going to say, yeah, that's probably where this season ended for that Miami team.
I respect those takes, gentlemen. I just have to piggyback on what Casey said. This is gut check time. This is December football. This is December going into January football, where these games matter, and especially the way that the NFL set it up to where a lot of these games are divisional games. So it puts even that much more at stake when it comes to these NFL games coming up. We'll get into the Chiefs versus the Bengals. Like I said, once again, Casey, I did not bring you on here on purpose like that. Not at all. But on a serious note, though,
no one wants to hear my takes after we win.
I'll promise you, I'll bring you on. Y'all have another 7 more wins before the season's over. So I got you. I know.
There's only 5 games left, X.
Exactly. That's my point. That's what y'all do. That's just what y'all do. But
fair enough. They're pretty
seriously though, Ish and I talk about this all the time when it comes to certain teams' boogeymen. When it comes to the Titans and the Colts used to be the Titans' boogeyman. Sometimes the Chiefs and the Raiders, just because the Raiders like to use that as a Super Bowl game. Is the Bengals becoming a pain in the Chiefs' butt now? Last 3 games, and obviously this past calendar year, the Bengals have won. I think a lot of people looked at Patrick Mahomes probably about 2 years ago and said Patrick Mahomes is going to rule the NFL moving forward for the next at least 5 to 7 years, right? Has Patrick Mahomes met his competitive match? I'm not saying his match on the same type of level, and I'm just saying a guy that can at least compete with him and can say, look, I'm not scared of you in that 4th quarter. I'll take this ball and drive my team down the field and we'll win this game. Comparison to a guy like Justin Herbert. I love him, but he has not proven himself. Or even a guy like Josh Allen, who has lost so far, but it's also 1-1. But at the end of the day, I feel as though some people will still always take Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen when it comes to, hey, if that guy has the ball at the end of the game, sure, Patrick Mahomes is going to take it. Is this a different type of matchup when it's Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes? I'll start off with you, Casey.
I mean, I give Joe Burrow all the credit in the world, right? Joe Cool, he was never flustered back there, even in games where he's getting just laid out. You know, we've seen him in lots of games where he's just getting hit left and right. He still gets up. He's good to go. Moving on. This goes back to full circle on the show, guys. We go back to talking about the Titans and how poorly things have been run and bad choices and things. The Bengals have the best trio of wide receivers in the league, and it's not close. And paying a lot of money for those three guys, like, it is a tough offense to stop when they get gelling. Yes, they started out very slow, but this offense is very, very, very good. I don't really look at the Chiefs' offense. Yeah, they had a little bit of a struggle at the top of the game, but this team led after half. It was sort of a back and forth after halftime. You know, as I said on our podcast today, I'm the kind of guy who just, we lost. You know, it sucks. The Bengals played good. I don't really point at one thing or a couple things that lost a game. You know, moving on, really. More of the Bill Belichick, mentality. It's on to the next game. You know, if I wanted to be the kind of fan, and we all know that kind of fan for whatever teams, I could tell you we are a Chris Jones saying something that hurt someone's feelings and a Travis Kelce fumble away from being a one-loss team tied for the best record in NFL. Like, that's where we could be right now, right? Like, they lost to the Colts on a BS personal foul because Chris Jones ran his mouth, and Travis Kelce doesn't fumble that ball, or that ball should have been called, down forward progress, and we're moving on. This team isn't going to sit and dwell on these things. They're going to move on. They should win the rest of their games. They've got a cake schedule. We need some help, right? We need Buffalo to lose. We need Miami to, we need that to work out the right way to still get the 1 seed. But we got the Broncos twice, the Seahawks and Raiders and Texans. Like,
cake.
I'm not concerned with the rest of the schedule. Yeah, we lost a tough game, and maybe we will see them again in the playoffs. I would like it to be the 1 seed. I'd like to see the AFC Championship game played in Arrowhead again this year. Absolutely, for sure. But you can't dwell on the past, and I think Andy Reid's done a very good job of not letting this team do that when they do lose games, especially close games or when they're just weird circumstances or whatever. The Bengals do seem to have their number for whatever reason. It's been 3 games in a row now this year, this calendar year, as you pointed out. I hate it. It's been rough, but until next time, that's really all I can say. Like, what are you going to do? You can't dwell on it, and I don't think the team's going to, and I think that's the most important thing I can say for this team is they just know to move on, and we're on to next week.
And Patty and Andy Reid is not going to let this team dwell on this one loss either.
No, the Bengals team, for whatever reason, did find a way to sort of shut down Travis Kelce, and that is a recipe for success against this Chiefs team. They've got good pieces in the wide receiving core, but when Kelce isn't sort of opening things up, we've seen them struggle a little bit on the offensive side. If I have a worry, that's it. That's why earlier I kind of joked about, if I could get and know that Odell was going to be healthy, I'd consider it just to have maybe another diversion out there for nothing else. But not every team can cover Travis Kelce. We've seen that. Teams go in knowing that's who they have to stop, and they can't do it. So
because most teams don't have the personnel to be able to do it.
No, we're moving on, and if it comes up to Cincinnati again, we'll talk about it. Like, that's and that's the thing. The two of the teams that we're gonna possibly play in the playoffs, we've lost to. Lost the Bills, lost the Bengals. That's tough. That's a real tough,
sweet redemption.
Tough thing. Gives you a great opportunity.
Gives you a great opportunity to hype it up in the locker room to say, "Hey, we lost in the regular season." Gives us an opportunity.
Played overtime game with your Titans, X. I was there. Like that. These teams that they're going to have to play again are the teams that are playing them well. But the Chiefs are through the toughest part of their schedule and on to an easy part. I mean, like I said, Chiefs win this week and the Chargers lose, which is very capable. They win that division again, and we get a home game. Like, that's the goal. Win the division, get a home playoff game. Moving on from there.
Ish, what you got for us?
Yeah, for me, I'm similar to Casey in that I'm not too concerned by the loss. I think when you get to a certain point in this league, especially when you're at the top, right, and you're a competitor and you're competing for that Super Bowl, truly competing for the Super Bowl, I think the margins between the teams that are up there competing for them are a lot smaller. I think the teams that are up there competing for it, they've got guys that in the clutch time, in that last drive, the moment's not too big for them. And I think that's what you're seeing when you're seeing the Bills kind of do what they do against the Chiefs, when you're seeing the Bengals do what they're doing against the Chiefs. I think these teams, when it comes down to that fourth quarter, coming down to the last drive, who gets the ball last, that sort of thing. I don't think any of us are out here thinking, yep, Josh Allen going to choke it away. Oh, yeah, Joe Burrow is going to choke it away. Like, no, we're thinking they're probably going to drive down, they're going to score, right? And then is there going to be enough time for the Chiefs to score? Or if the Chiefs have the ball, you're thinking Chiefs going to go down and score? You know, is Joe Burrow going to be able to answer? And yeah, he was able to answer. So to me, it's not a concern because the margins are very slim at this level of competition in the NFL. It's about when it comes time in the playoffs, are you able to find a way to get that win? That's all that matters. This game, it was good. It was entertaining for people. You learn a little bit more about your opponent. But at the end of the day, all that they are concerned about is when it comes time in the playoffs to play one of these teams, to go to the Super Bowl or to make it to the AFC Championship game, are you going to be able to make the play or make the stop to do that? And that's all that matters.
And execute the game plan too. That's it. All right, let's go ahead and move it on and finish it up with our last game of the night. This was not a pretty game at all. Of course, the only reason why I'm bringing this up because of America's team. We have to, of course, unfortunately talk about because it's America's team. But on a serious note, the Cowboys, another 50-point performance. It looks like the offense is gelling for the most part. Ish, you're gonna be the first one I'm gonna ask. Is this for real or is this fluke? Is this what we expect to see the Cowboys do in the postseason? Are they going to do what they have been doing since '95
that's the loaded
or '96,
question there.
I should say, and that's falling flat?
The loaded question that you asked is this going to be is this what we're going to see the Cowboys do in the playoffs? Because are they for real? Yeah, the Cowboys are for real.
Okay, I mean, so that should be easily. You should be able to answer the second part then.
No, no, because that's the problem. We have yet to see them do it in the playoffs. Like, yeah, they're for real. This defense is for real. This offense, when they're clicking, they're for real. They are a team that I think, I know everybody's high on Minnesota. They're high on Philadelphia. I think this Cowboys team can go beat both of them and beat them pretty handily. I think they can do that. We saw in the second half against Philadelphia how this Dallas team looked. And to be honest, if Dak is in that game, does it change it? Is he able to, do a little bit more? I don't know at that point in the season, but I can tell you right now, they're turning it on at the right time. And now we're just looking at, can you do it in the playoffs? Because you haven't done it up until this point. Can this be the year where they finally put it all together? And I think one of the things that makes it a little bit different, this defense is on a different level this year than they've been in the past years where we've been like, oh, yeah, the Cowboys, and everybody's really high on them. This year, this defense is actually an elite Super Bowl winning defense when they are on. And that's where I think this might be the year where we may actually see the Cowboys show up in the playoffs and put a good run together.
KC.
I'm looking forward to the Week 16 matchup, right? Like that's where we're at. I want to see this team. I want to see this team play the Eagles again, fully healthy, hopefully both sides. I do believe in this Dallas team. Are they going to put up 33 points in the fourth quarter in the playoffs? No, that's not happening. The Colts turn the ball over. We say it over and over and over. That's what they do. So no, that's not happening. But this defense is for real. They're figuring out this offense. They've got both running backs involved, which is something we in the early season when they were struggling a little bit, or even during Cooper Rush time, we were talking about they need to commit to the run, right? They need to get both Zeke and Pollard involved in this, and they have done that. They're working on that. They've shown that both these guys are getting some workload, and they know how to use both of them, which is super important. The NFC playoff picture is kind of garbage, right? Like, if we're being honest, who do you feel good about? Maybe a Brock Purdy-led 49ers team we talked about. Do you feel good about that? I think the Vikings are flukes. This team murdered the Vikings just a few weeks ago. We saw that happen. I don't think anything changes there. The Eagles. That's why I said I want to see him play the Eagles again. I want to see that.
It's a two-horse race right now in the NFC. I mean, if you really
I think so. Right? I do think that this Cowboys team could get it done. I mean, they're staring at a Buccaneer playing the Bucks in Tampa Bay wild card weekend if everything holds. They'll be 5-point favorites in Tampa Bay. Like, I do think this team is for real. I think it's kind of a little bit of a trick question to say, can they do this? Because no one's they were 2 points off of an NFL record for a single quarter score, fourth quarter score. The record is 35. They put up 33. So that's not happening. But this defense is absolutely for real. They will pair up very nicely with any team. And like I said, put them up against the Niners defense, two really good defenses. Give me the Dallas offense all day long over the Niners offense. So yeah, I think the Cowboys are for real. As much as it pains me to say, they're very much contenders and could find themselves deep in a playoff run.
Ish.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm excited. I want to see this Week 16 matchup. I want to, I don't think, just like I just talked about with the Chiefs, I don't think it's a make or break situation. Unlike the situation with Miami, where they've got a run of 3 games that are going to be really big for them, and that's a lot different because it could definitely change the shape of the playoffs. It could change who you're playing. I think this Dallas team is similar to the Kansas City team for me in the situation of you just need to go and play a good game Week 16. If you lose, okay, you lose, but you come away with what you need to do in the playoffs when it really matters. And I actually think they're winning that game. I think they win Week 16, and it really springboards them into the playoffs. And we're going to see what is going to happen once they get there. I think Minnesota, Philly are the 2 teams that they're looking for. And we've already seen what they can do against Minnesota. So it may just come down to Philly and Dallas.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement. Yeah, when it comes to, it's probably Philly and Dallas on a collision course to maybe meet in the NFC Championship game if things work out correctly, especially due to seeding. They could meet up earlier again just due to seeding, so we'll see what happens with that. But for the most part, I'm not saying can they repeat a 50-point performance every game or even into the playoffs. I'm just saying, will this finally be the year that changes the narrative on how we look at the Cowboys for the last 20, 30, almost 30 years now, right? We can keep on running back the 90s clips and the 80s and the 70s clips of them winning Super Bowls all we want to, but it doesn't mean that you're going to win a Super Bowl in 2022 unless we go out there and go perform. They have the talent on both sides of the ball. This is one of the few times where we're actually not, making too many jokes about the Dallas Cowboys. I think, hey, on a serious note, they can get it done. It comes down to them as a organization on getting it done. So we'll see from there. All right. Before we do get up out of here, though, I will talk about if I was a betting man, and you already know what we do. We do our prize picks. Our promo code is PR-JVA61PN. And as always, I messed it up as always and didn't win this week. And I see Issues over there smiling because he loves it when I lose money. Deshaun Watson did go under 247.5. I told y'all because he's going to be rusty probably the rest of the season. So that's an easy under for anybody to take. Jared Goff did go over 1.5 touchdown passes with 2. TJ Hawkinson, of course, he only caught 4 passes. 4 passes. And Browns
Welcome
defense,
to betting, man.
Yeah. Browns defense was held to under 3 sacks. So again, just TJ Hawkinson. I was worried about Justin Jefferson maybe not getting shut down, but being limited due to Sauce and just everybody playing that type of game plan towards him. So I said, I'm not going to take Justin Jefferson. And of course, he was supposed to. His line was 6. He of course had 7 catches. So, like Casey said, the world of betting is not fun. I see why
you're gonna miss one.
I see why people jump off of buildings.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Tough life.
Well, on a serious note, we appreciate y'all as always for tuning in to X Talking Ish. We appreciate our guy KC for joining us. He will be on the show one more time this season because I will make him be on the show because he needs to be on for his expertise to be on our show. We love having him on here, man. And he will be on after a Chiefs win. I promise you. So he can be a lot more enthusiastic about talking about his Chiefs. And of course, we will see him once again. Ish, as always, we will see everybody here for week 14 preview on Sunday. It is
already.
The season is here. Hey, the season is over with. I mean, it has come and gone. So
fantasy playoffs starting next week.
Oh.
Yes, sir. All right. With that being said, we will see y'all on Sunday. Thank y'all as always for tuning in to X Talking Ish.